for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
We're on item 4, approval of agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Anyone recommended?
No.
All right. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's June 16th meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Okay, we have approved our agenda. We're on number 5 now of our agenda for reports, and NEA Deming is not here tonight. And I love the title to this, Off-Season Coaching.
So let me give you a heads up, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board. We have had some changes in NMAA rules. And once people start utilizing those changes, you might get phone calls. So we wanted to make sure you knew what those changes were and what's allowable. So Mr. Chavez is here to share that.
So Madam Vice President, member of the board, Superintendent Chavez. I'm actually a committee member for the Bylaws Committee for the Mexico Activities Association. And we had a meeting not too long ago about a rule change with out-of-season coaching. Of course, the summers, they're not sanctioned by NMAA. However, with the changes in how school is starting for different schools now, different school districts, and also their calendars throughout the year, it created a problem where some schools had 2 weeks off during when they're in season as well. So that made it hard with the rulings that they had, those parameters that, they would have to take 2 weeks off when they're actually in season or right before they start their season. So discussion came out about changing the rule for out-of-season coaching. So they basically lifted the policy. And so it's basically going to be pretty much a district's decision. So I've already met with coaches on what we're going to do. And so we want to make sure that our coaches are not trying to, that they're sharing student athletes across the board, and they're not trying to promote their own program and making somebody, be a certain type of person. So that's part of we're going to put a guidelines together, and we've already started to do that. We're also not going to allow students to practice on days of holidays when they're out of season or on weekends. So we're going to still have some of the same parameters that were in the ruling, because we want people to enjoy. We don't want to burn out student athletes or coaches, So those are the things that we're working on right now. Also, the best benefit out of everything is living in Deming. Our kids do not get to participate in what we call club ball like they would in other towns. Our students just can't afford that. So what that opens up for us is our coaches can now coach during the week. And if there's a competition on the weekend, now our coaches can actually coach our kids. Before, parents were having a coach, not our coaches. And so it made it tough. So I think it's a benefit for Deming Public Schools. And I think we're now with just honing it in and having some guidelines for our coaches. And what's great about working with our coaches, they communicate well with each other. And I don't think it's going to be an issue for Deming Public Schools. We had a meeting right when school let out. We kind of discussed what was going on. They're very excited, but they understand, hey, we need to share our kids. So it's a positive move for NMAA and for, I think, all kids across the state of New Mexico. I'll stand for any questions.
I think the more opportunities they can have.
Definitely
the
more
better.
opportunities, especially here for our kids, because they don't get they don't get those opportunities. And we just can't afford it. Some kids can, but it's just a blessing for us. And I've been pushing this for years to let our coaches coach our kids on weekends when they're out of season. And finally, it's going to happen. So I'm very excited about the new.
That's good.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we're down to our consent agenda.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, your consent agenda are several items, and we ask that you approve them.
Okay. Do we have a motion for approve the consent agenda as written.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as written.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
the motion passes. All right, now we go to our action items. Do I need to read this?
Actually, if you'll read on the first page, the accountability procedures.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
We don't
As-
need to approve it, but
Okay. As part of the Deming Public Schools accountability procedures and as recommended by the state auditor, 3 bills were randomly selected and audited by the board. The board also reviewed a monthly report of activity funds. All procedures met state and district regulations. Okay, thank you. All right. I need to read this to you.
you can just turn that part over to me.
Okay.
because it's in the procedure.
Superintendent Chavez?
Yes. So Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, people that are watching in the audience, we are now posting the opportunity for public comment. So the process will be if on the agenda, there is an opportunity when it goes out for people to email questions and provide input on any item on the agenda, but in the meeting, it is now going to be any individual attending a board meeting in person may sign up to comment on any agenda item prior to the meeting being called to order. Individuals will introduce themselves at the podium and will be limited to 3 minutes unless a member of the board requests to extend the time for individuals addressing the board. There's a sign-up sheet. So any item that the public would want to comment on, they need to, we're asking that you sign up so that we don't miss anybody and that we give everybody voice in being able to speak. So with that, I just wanted to start announcing that a little more so that we can make sure that everyone knows the procedure and has the opportunity to access it.
And I have a question.
Sure.
Does this include our staff members?
Yes.
Not if they're gonna.
Not if they're presenting,
But if they want to,
comment on any of the agenda
they have
items.
to sign up.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
So Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, we will go on to action items. The first action item is the approval of the local government road fund program resolution. That's a big, and we have Ms. Jessica Echeverry here to present on that.
Madam Vice President, board members, Superintendent Chavez, before you is a resolution that is required to participate in the local government road fund. Our program this year or our project that we put forward to them was to make improvements to existing parking lot areas district-wide by purchasing material to replace deteriorated parking bumpers, improve existing parking areas, and protect pedestrians on adjacent walkways. They have awarded us the project with them paying 75% and us doing 25% for a total project cost of $12,257, with our share being $3,000.64. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions?
When you said them, who is them?
The local government road fund is from DOT. They awarded
Oh,
us.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the road fund.
Local
The
government
local
road fund.
government road fund, sorry.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
thank you. Item B, approval of out-of-state trip.
My Madam Vice President, members of the board, this is our DHS Mesa trip. It will not happen until July, but we wanted to make sure we had it approved before, because it is out of state. And we have on Zoom, because they're at a current Mesa event, Mr. Ray Boleyn and from DHS Mesa. Mr. Boleyn, do you have any information you'd like to share with the board?
Yes, Madam President, Vice Chair, members of the board, and Superintendent Chavez, good evening. First and foremost, we apologize. We were not able to attend personally, but the engineering summer program for teachers was actually for teachers only, but the training was also open for high achieving students from 6th to 12th grade. So since we have members from Mesa and Science Olympiad, hardworking members from Mesa and Science Olympiad, we asked our students to apply for the training, and successfully they were accepted by the College of Engineering and Applied Science for the University of Wyoming. So this will happen on July 18th up to the 22nd, and they will be housed on in a dorm in the university, and food will be provided for the students and the teachers as well. What we are asking for is for transportation and for the students to join us in the said training. But previously, 2019 and 2020, Mr. Valdez and I, Science Olympiad coach and Mesa, we already joined those years, and we were able to bring to the classroom some kits and learning materials that the University of Wyoming gave us or lent to us, and we were able to apply this in our classroom. So we're hoping to bring kids with us and learn with us, and the University of Wyoming also are expecting to learn from our students. So just to give you an idea, these students are members of Mesa, and at the same time members of Science Olympiad and robotics teams from Deming High School.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
These are, I know what the Mesa students are, and out of this, are there opportunities? And if you said it, I apologize, for scholarships for college after having attended and participated in some of this?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this training also includes tour for the students in the facilities of the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Superintendent? Any
We just
other?
need a motion.
I just was given opportunity.
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approval of our out-of-state trip, DHS Mesa Engineering Summer Program for teachers with students.
I make a motion to approve the trip.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, item C.
Madam Vice President, members of the board, this is seeking your approval for the auction of a student-built trailer. As you know, in our CTE programs, our students build things, and one of their big projects this year in the welding was to build a trailer. And so we want to auction that off as a fundraiser for that program.
I think it's a tremendous,
Yes, it is.
And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
do we have any questions
No.
or comments?
I make a motion that we approve the student-built trailer to go into auction.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Vice President, members of the board, the next item D is consideration of an approval of the resolution authorizing the sale of the school bonds. We have Ms. Pat Ives on the Zoom to go over that, but this is the authorization. They were approved in November's bond election, and then we will be selling them this summer. So this is that resolution. So Ms. Ives?
Thank you very much. Good evening, Madam Vice Chair and members of the board and Superintendent Chavez. Before you have the resolution that, as Superintendent Chavez said right now, would basically authorize you to be selling the first issuance of the bonds that were authorized in November. You might recall that the voters approved $5 million worth of bonds. This particular issuance would be for $2 million. And you would be able to use it for any of the purposes that are allowed by statute. The resolution that you have before you is actually delegating to the superintendent, and in the event that she is not available, your director of finance, to be able to work with not only bond counsel, my firm, but also with your financial advisor, so that we don't have to keep going back to the board when it comes time to price. And pricing is going to be occurring on July 13th, so just about another month away. And that's the day that we will need to make sure that the superintendent or the director of finance is in fact available. But I would direct your attention to pages 5 and 6, because this isn't just unfettered kind of discretion that you would be authorizing the superintendent or the director of finance to exercise. There are certain limitations, basically terms and conditions, within which the superintendent would be able to price and sell these bonds. And as I said, those are basically set out on pages at the bottom of page 5 and the sort of most of page 6. The other thing is that the authority that you are granting to the superintendent or to the director of finance would expire by October 14th. And this is all very standard. I don't want you to be thinking that this is something unusual or odd. The legislature allowed school districts to do this a number of years ago, and it is very common practice for the boards to delegate to their superintendents the authority to do this. And I think those are really the sort of highlights. I won't go through each part of the resolution because I would bore you to pieces, but I think those are the important things that you need to know. But certainly I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Have any questions?
It's a good time.
I did read
Exactly.
through those pages.
And you're still awake.
I almost missed going here tonight, but I woke up. No. All right. With that, then we will, Superintendent Chavez, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay, with that, we will take a vote on consideration or approval of resolution authorizing sale of school bonds, etc.
I make a motion that we approve the consideration of resolution of authorizing the school bonds.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes. And thank you.
Great. Thank you
Motion-
all very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Mm.
All
Good
right.
night.
Item E.
Madam Vice President, members of the board, the item E is the approval of the Fine Arts Education Act application. We submit this every year. Mr. Parker is on Zoom to provide a brief overview.
Good evening, Vice Chair and members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. In front of you is requesting approval for the Fine Arts Education Act, a renewal application for the 22-23 school year. It is a renewal application that allows us to continue to receive funds through our SEG to support fine arts programs, specifically music and art. What this, just so you know, high level, I was doing the calculations, since this will support about 2,590 students. After you look at the unit value, it will generate about $706,000 for the district, which will cover about 64% of the actual cost of salaries. We're projecting salaries right around $1,099,000, and this will help defer some of the costs for that. The rest of that will be taken out of our normal operational pieces to support program implementation, curriculum, and experiences for students to learn and love music and art. We realize that it's an important aspect and dimension of public education and experience for students. So we want to continue with that. And this is the application that's required to be a board approved to receive those funding. All right, I stand for any questions on the application.
Thank you. I have a question. Does the fine arts, does the work here ties in with the work that's being done in the school already?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
It's the
ma'am. This is,
renewal.
it's not something separate.
no, part of the grant or the application for this is the way the state can assure that we are implementing fine arts programs. And so that's really the intent of it. So what they do is they offer that through this request for application with the assurance that you will use those funds to support fine arts programs. So it's not just like you would typically get in an operational program funding where you get it and then you use it however you see fit. This is specifically tailored for fine arts programs, and it just it goes to make sure that we can afford K-6 art and music teachers. We have about 14 of them.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Then I would entertain a motion for approval.
I make a motion that we approve the FADA application for 22-23.
Okay,
I second that.
we have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, item F is for your approval. We have two memoranda. It's the first of two memorandums of understanding between Deming Cesar Chavez High School and Deming Public Schools. The first one is for our maintenance people to support the building and grounds to maintain that functional and safe environment. And we would ask for your approval, and they're here to stand for any questions that you might have. Mr. Nunez and Masters. I was going to say Mr. Chris, and I was like, that's not
Mr. Chris also
it.
So it's my understanding by maintaining the charter school grounds, that comes out of a funding from the charter school, or how is that?
Actually, the 2% administrative cost that is retained by Deming Public Schools
Uh-huh.
from the SEG, from our SEG award. What that totals out to in this year is going to be about 40,000 or so.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of like a line of credit that the district's given us for us. So, for example, if we utilize the maintenance crew $50,000 worth, then we would then pay them the difference, which would be $10,000 to DPS.
So if I come over and sweep your facilities,
Hey,
You can track
minimum
your
wage
time.
now for public schools is $15 an hour, so.
okay. Other questions or comments? Do you have anything to add to that, Superintendent?
Thank you. No.
If not, we will ask for a roll call, please.
Uh,
I mean, a
Motion.
motion. I'm sorry.
I make a motion, we approve the memorandum for the understanding between Cesar Chavez and Deming Public Schools.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now could we have a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez?
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now on item G, and you're going to just stand right up there again.
And yes, and Ms. Jones may join them. So Madam Vice President, members of the board, the next MOU that we have is to provide meal services. So we have student nutrition. I'll let Ginger just kind of summarize it, and then we can stand for questions.
Madam Vice President, Superintendent Chavez, members of the board. This memorandum has been longstanding with the Student Nutrition Department and the charter school. The scope of services is just showing that we will provide all meal service through the child nutrition program to the charter school. That we will also do the community eligibility percentages, and that we will ensure that federal compliance is being met. As well is that my team will be doing the delivery of the meals and the service of the meals for the charter school students. And then as far as the charter school, just stating that they will communicate any calling counts to us, and that they will let us know if they need field trips or cancellations. And that if there is any non-instructional days that Deming Public School is not on, but the charter school is that communication happens so that we can work together to provide meal service. Stand for any questions.
I do have a question.
Yes,
When it comes to the daycare, because the daycare is still there, am I right? Is that part of this?
It is
meal
not
thing,
part of
or
student nutrition. No, ma'am.
It's separate.
It's separate.
And so is it health that provides the meals for those kids?
Actually, his kids.
Yeah, oh, his kids.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then with the early head start program, once it's able to open up, it will be Health New Mexico.
okay, thank you.
So we do work with Help New Mexico to feed our Head Start students at RST. And that those students are fed through our department.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Any other comments? Any other suggested recommendations? Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the Cesar Chavez Charter High School operations. Department of Nutrition and Deming Cesar Chavez Charter High School for school year 22-23.
I make that motion?
Okay,
I'll
With-
second that.
we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crowe, yes.
thank you. Motion carried. Thank you
Thank you.
for
Thank
your
you
work
very much,
together.
guys. Thank you.
All right, next item H, the operations budget for the Cesar Chavez Charter High School for school year 22-23.
Was able to work with Doyle last month and answer any questions that she had. So I'll just give you a highlights of some of the changes that we had. Staffing wise, we'll be increasing by one. We're having one less instructional assistant. Was an engineer who's now has an engineering job, and that will be replaced with a CTE teacher. The additional FTE is going to be in our facility, so we're going to have a full-time maintenance person.
Yeah, wow.
We will be hitting all of the new requirements, of course, that ERB changes the new salary scales. And right now, we're currently above the minimum. I stand for any questions that you have on this.
I did have one question.
Please.
You included in your budget the salary schedules for your teachers. Do you have salary schedules for your other staff members?
We actually don't on the other staff members. The only thing that we have is we have a step. So as we have a minimum wage for the instructional assistants,
Right.
and if they have associates and if they have bachelors, there's an increment with that.
So do you have that documented for your personnel so that it's published? I guess is my question, since it wasn't part of this.
Yes,
So
yes.
staff have access
Yes.
to published salary schedules. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right, then we will need as for a motion for the approval of Deming Cesar Chavez Charter High School operations budget for school year 22-23.
I make a motion.
We have the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crowe, yes.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
2 out of 2.
3 out of 3.
Oh, is it 3 already? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it is. All right, item I.
So, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Ms. Boggs will be up here for the next couple of things because we have responses and awards for bids this next year for ancillary services. So we'll start with occupational therapy services bid 2210.
Madam Vice President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. We have 4, like she said, to recommend. We'll start with occupational therapy. It's that time of year when we take all of these and score them. And we are recommending for OT that we continue with amplified therapy for that contract.
Any discussion? Questions?
I was just gonna make a comment that since Amplified Therapy has been in town, I noticed that there's a lot of services being provided by them.
They do an
That's,
excellent,
yeah, it's awesome.
they do an excellent job.
Yes.
That's good to
I'll
hear.
make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
You have a second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
All right, thank you. The motion passes.
So Madam Vice President, members of the board, the next one is item J for psychological services. Mrs. Fox.
We have in front of you the recommendation for, that it be given to Corral, Monarch, Soul, Kirker, and TAI. These are our current providers. Just for your information, one of the things that we seriously looked at this year was in person versus virtual. All of these are in person. I didn't mention on the OT, that's all in person. So that was a factor in the bids and proposals this year that we considered very heavily. That's our recommendation.
Okay. Anything else?
I make a motion that we approve the bid for the three services, service providers.
Do I have a second?
A second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the psychological services bid number 2211. May we have a roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crowe, yes.
thank you. The motion passes.
And Madam Vice President, members of the board, item K is the approval of the English speech evaluations bid. Mrs. Buggs?
I'm Vice President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez, you have a recommendation that this be awarded to Mesilla Valley Therapy Service and Sol Marisa, which are also current providers. And there's two.
Mrs. Boggs, can I back up? Item K is just the English one. Was that more than one award?
Yes, I'm sorry, I lied. Sol
I
Marisa-
thought you were, okay. I thought
We
you
have
were-
that on
okay.
record.
So we have, so we'll have the other ones on item L, but I don't want them approving
Thank you.
item L out of order.
Just Sol Marisa.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Keep me straight.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
don't want to bring it back next month.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Because we didn't approve it.
All right. Okay. Is there anything on? Nothing to say about it? Oh, it's the same as before, except in English, correct?
English speech evals.
Okay. All righty. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the English speech eval bid. I'm sorry.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Sounds like the three of us may be using your service.
We need to call somebody.
Okay, next item.
So Madam Vice President, members of the board, the next item is item L, approval of speech therapy services. And I'll let Ms. Boggs.
I'm Vice President, members of the board, Superintendent Chavez. I'll try to tell the truth this time. We have for proposal, speech therapy services, and that's the one that has multiple awards. And the recommendation is for Sol Marisa, Mesilla Valley Therapy, and Unlimited. We did not have enough people to fill with our continuing people, so we are going with a new company. I hope they wrote a very good proposal. Hope they do well. They will be all virtual. And this is one of the challenges that we're having this year in having enough staff. We don't have enough to do in person, so we are happy to do some virtual. You may hear about this from some parents. We're doing our best to get in-person people, but we're not able to. So in lieu of having that, we will provide virtual. We will still continue to look for in-person staff, but this is what we have right now. This is the post-COVID reality, unfortunately.
I have one question. Which is the new provider? Is it Unlimited?
Unlimited. We have never worked with them before. They're a national vendor,
Uh-huh.
and they will be 100% virtual.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the speech therapy bid. number 2214.
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you do a roll call for approval of the speech therapy services bid number 2214?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes,
Mr. Crowe, yes.
the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you so
Ms.
much.
Fox.
May I ask the question, Ms. Boggs, before you sit down? You don't have to come back. When they're in the virtual situation with the the professional, is there someone then from the district sitting with them?
We are working on that because yes, we can't just, say, go down there and flip
Right.
on the computer. We've got to have some kind of system in place for them to be monitored and make sure they log on and not running around the room.
Yeah.
Put it in the therapy. So yes, we're working on that and how to cover that and make sure it's a whole new world,
Yep.
but we will figure out a way to do it.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All right, Madam Vice President, members of the board, item M is the approval of the Open Meetings Act resolution for your meetings and schedule that we're required to publish every year. So be happy to answer any questions. It's just the resolution for open meetings, complying with it.
Okay, any comments or
No,
questions on
that's
the Open Meetings Act? Things haven't changed.
Yeah,
And the schedule as far as the third Thursday is still the standard schedule that will be published.
Mhm. Okay, if there's no other discussion, would entertain a motion for approval of our Open Meetings Act notice resolution, board meetings and schedule.
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yes.
Mr. Crowe, yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, and thank you all for bringing these to us. Now, superintendent's report.
Yes, Madam Vice President, members of the board, I just wanted to update you on a few things. We have had several administrative shifts in our district. As you know, we hired, I believe I reported at one of the previous meetings that Kathy Zimmerman was hired as the principal at Chaparral. Amber Sweeney was is now the principal of My Little School / pre-K across the district. And then Belle has a new TOSA, an instructional coach with administrative duties. Narcissa Escudero is moving over there. Our central office, our deputy superintendent is Miss Robin Parnell. At Chaparral, we have a new assistant principal, Troy Wirtz. At Deming Intermediate School, assistant principal Jocelyn Garcia. At Red Mountain Middle School, assistant principal Marisa Orozco. At Red Mountain Middle School, a new instructional coach, Miss Leslie Wilson. And at RST, we have a new assistant principal, Alfredo Reyes. So we have moved from the TOSA positions. If the school is greater than 200, 250, we've 300. Miss Ruddle, you're gonna have to save me on this one. What number did we say? 300, sorry. And because TOSA sounds like a temporary role, teacher on special assignment, and so we wanted to make these more permanent administrative positions. And so yeah, we've got some great leaders that have been hired, and we're excited about the future. So the only other thing related to superintendent's reports, our staffing is ticking along. I checked in with Ms. Ruddle. We have about 20 teaching positions open. And we are also working furiously to get our back to school conference built. Our 2 days of, we have Mr. Ravi, I cannot say his last name, coming to be the keynote on Monday at your request. He was available, which turned out to be really great. I'm excited about that. And we have a lot of different sessions for our staff members to choose from. Some will be required sessions just because of the nature of the work that needs to be done, special education. We have new curriculum, so we're going to be doing new curriculum training. And then the first 2 days, the district will have their back to school conference. We have Jessica's not here, but you can tell me. I think we have the bank sponsoring lunches for our staff on both days. We have lunches covered for our staff. And so we're excited. I think it's gonna hopefully bring a new energy. So
And that'll be
and
at the high
excitement for
school.
it'll be at the high school, will be hosted at the high school.
I think in fairness, we should announce that it's First New Mexico Bank sponsoring Monday's lunch and First Savings Bank on Tuesday.
Thank you for that. So yes, we have a lot of community support as always.
Can we announce the dates that it's going to take place?
July 11th and 12th. And then Miss Jones's team is going to provide our breakfast. And she does they do an amazing job. She does, they do, it is amazing.
We'll
So,
all be there for breakfast.
yes. And we have purchased, everybody will get a bag. We've purchased a book for everyone
Wow.
that he wrote called Pivot. So we're really excited. We're pulling it together and we're pivoting regularly.
Mrs. Kriegel's National Honor Society from Deming High School has volunteered to help us with the bags and handing those
Oh,
out
wow.
at the conference as well.
So, yeah, we're excited. It's coming together.
Very good. Thank you all for your work in getting everything planned. I remember it's a lot.
It's a lot. And as one final note to the back to school conference, because I get excited about the details. I love details. Is we're going to have online, they'll be able to access the agenda online and interact. We'll be able to push out messages and we're using a online software to schedule and show where everything is to just show this is a professional quality event that we've put together for them. So we're excited.
Very good. Very good.
And it's taking everybody to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it with my updates.
All righty. Now we're to announcements. Did I skip anything? I think we went through my facilities. We did that. Okay, so now we're announcements. Do we have any board member requests for agenda items?
I just want to apologize for being late. I've been dealing with a personal medical situation, you can see, so I'm not quarantined.
Well, we're glad you made
Thank
it.
you. Yes,
Yes.
so a little distracted.
Yeah. Well, you look nice and blue, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. A special, our next, I'm sorry.
Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, public, it's important to note that our special board meeting that is scheduled for next Thursday
Mhm.
might be canceled if we don't have any action items. Might be canceled.
Oh,
So it's on right now, but we'll know Monday for sure if that's what I just had read into my ear.
okay.
Did I do that right?
Yeah. I always like those might be's. All
At
right.
this time, we don't have any action items that need to be approved, but it is the end of the year and we don't want to close the door on anything we might need to get done.
Okay. And then our regular board meeting will be July 21st, 2022. And if there's no other business to take place, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it. Could you do a roll call?
Mrs. Paez,
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron,
Yeah.
Mr. Crowe.
I had to make him do that. Okay, then we thank you for everyone that attended here and virtually, and we will now adjourn.